Greetings, I am Dr. Park Jung-chul of Hyo Dental Clinic. A lot of people talk about back to basic. I think sticking to the basics is very important. In 1999, I studied about implant, but it was very difficult to access related information and the whole process was uneasy. However, with master course, this is a very good opportunity to have access to good knowledge and information. I would like to become an implant mentor that helps you advance your skills and provides you a shoulder to lean on. In order to perfect things, you need to understand the composition. If you add your skills to that, you'll be able to get good results all the time. Before we move into implant, let's look at the composition of implant. The contents. The contents comprises of the following 6 themes. First is implant components. Implant components. There's fixture, which is the same as a tooth's root. The fixture is placed in the bone, and once it is osteo-integrated, the part that comes out of the gingiva and which is connected to the crown is abutment. Abutment and fixture is connected with a screw, and this screw is called abutment screw. Once fixture and abutment is connected with abutment screw and fixed on top of it, like a crown of a tooth, you connect the implant crown and implant treatment is completed. To summarize, the components of implant include fixture, which is the tooth's root, and abutment, which is the cervical area of a tooth, and on top of it, the crown is connected with a screw. Among these, the superstructure, in other words, depending on how abutment and crown is connected, it can be divided into 3 different options. First is the one-piece screw type where abutment and crown is fabricated as one. And second, fixture is connected to abutment and as if tooth is prepped and impression is taken, gold crown is connected. Using the same method in mind, on top of abutment, crown is connected. This is 2-piece cement type abutment. Third, this is a mixture of screw type and cement type. And this can be called ER, combination, or SCRP type. We have talked about the components of implant and how the components are connected. Now, let's look at the different components more in detail. First, let's talk about fixture. Fixture's shape has changed and evolved following the different clinical requirements. Recently used fixture forms can be largely divided into 4 like this. Details will be addressed in Lecture 3 and Lecture 4. Today, I'm going to talk about the overview in detail. TS fixture. Let's talk about this. Currently, this is the most frequently used implant. Internal hex, 11-degree Morse taper structure. It is a submerged type fixture. It may sound a bit difficult, but if you look at the image, you'll be able to understand very easily. Internal hex means that within the implant, the structure which you connect with the abutment, it's shaped like a hexagon. If it does not have the hexagon shape, it's non-hex, and if it's shaped like octagon, it's internal octa. Moving on, you need to understand Morse taper. This term is used in mechanical engineering. When you machine a piece, It's a taper standard specification of machining tool. And this started with a German called Morsekegel. So machining tool is standardized and it has 11-degree Morse taper. TS fixture, the shape of the body. Depending on the taper, it can be largely divided into 3 types. If the overall body is straight, it is called TS2 and it is a straight type. In these implants, it has less sensitivity to bone quality and drill and it has less interference with bone, so you can adjust the placement depths easily. Next is 1.5 taper. It is TS3 implant. Because it is tapered, the area which is in contact with bone is large, so it has good initial stability and it is most frequently used one. Because it has such traits, it is used frequently for immediate placement and immediate loading. 6 degrees taper. This is a significantly tapered TS4 implant and it has more contact with the bone. Therefore, even if the bone quality is bad, you can get good primary stability. TS implant can be used in both 1-stage and 2-stage surgeries. TS implant can be used for the following: implant placement, suture, healing, re-entry, and connection of healing abutment. It is basically for 2-stage surgery. However, in the case of implant placement, if initial stability is good, you can connect the healing abutment at the same time. Therefore, 1-stage surgery is also possible. TS implant has the advantage of platform switching effect. When you connect the superstructure on fixture structurally, you can do platform switching. Such connection structure prevents gingiva from coming down, and you can gain thicker, softer tissue and protect the bone structure. And it can serve as a barrier. TS implant is placed more deeper than the bone height, so it is easy to do suture. As shown, you place it deep, and when you do suture, there's no obstacles. It is easy to suture soft tissue. Implant is positioned within bone and the connection with the superstructure is within the fixture, so even if load is applied externally, there is less possibility of screw loosening or abutment's micro movement. It is structurally stable. The most widely used implant, TS implant's basic specifications are as follows: mini, regular, and ultra-wide. And depending on the surgical site, you need to choose the appropriate size and do the placement. The actual diameter is larger than the nominal diameter. The reason will be discussed in the next lecture. On fixture. TS fixture. Let's look at some clinical cases. In 2011, number 36, root fracture was done, extraction was done. After 4 months, implant was placed. At the time, this is the panoramic image. Final prosthesis was delivered, and after 7 years. The bone structure on top looks very stable. And if you use TS implant appropriately, long-term prognosis will be good. Next, I'm going to talk about SS fixture, which is tissue-level implant. As shown in the image, it is placed following the tissue level. Unlike TS implant, you should not place this implant deep. SS implant has internal octa structure and it is a non-submerged type, and it is a fixture for 1-stage surgery. The internal structure, it has octa structure and has 8 degrees in taper. Fixture abutment structures, it has cuff type. It is already there, so you need to place it following tissue level, and prosthesis margin is formed at fixture platform. The internal thickness of fixture is thick, so Paired with internal submerged implant, it has higher resistance against the fracture. However, the cuff shape of abutment is already fabricated along with the fixture, so abutment shape cannot be adjusted. Therefore, when you make prosthesis, especially in aesthetic anterior area, it has limited usage. The SS fixture body design. There's a straight and 1.5-degree taper type. SS fixture has 4.8 regular and 6.0 wide type platform. Depending on the surgical site, for instance, in the posterior area where tooth size is huge, you can use a wide platform. When you order implant component for accurate communication, you need to order by product number. If you understand how the product number works, it's very useful. SS3R4011S18. This product number holds significant meaning. Let's look at each one. SS at the very front means fixture system, and in the case of TS implant, it is marked as TS. The number 3 reflects the body type of SS fixture, and if it is straight, it is 2. If it is tapered body, it is marked as 3. SS2 or SS3 can be shown. R means that platform size is regular, and if it is wide, this is replaced with letter W. 4011. This means a 4.0 diameter and the length is 11 millimeter. And the letter S means that the surface treatment of the fixture is SA, and on implant surface, I'm going to talk about it in the next lecture. In the case of HA surface, it is marked as H, and in the case of CA, it is marked as C. The 1/8 is only for SS fixture, and it is the height of the area that meets the gingiva is 18 millimeter, and in the case of 2.0 millimeter fixture, it is marked as 20. The code on the product, now you can understand what this means. Additionally, in the case there's A at the very front, it means that there's mount, and in their case there's no mount, it is not marked. The TS implant, in the case there is mount, it is marked as B. Next is US implant with external hex. As shown, the hex structure is not inside but outside, so it is called external hex. This has the same shape as the first modern-day implant suggested by Dr. Bronemark. The connection with the superstructure is stable within the implant platform, so the abutment does not sink down. I'm sure you don't really understand at this point, but if you listen to the offline master course and prosthodontic courses, you'll be able to get a better understanding. A fixture and abutment is connected as butt joint structure, so abutment is not vertically impacted. Abutment fixture is connected externally, so compare with internal connection. In prosthesis like splints, if the path is slightly tilted, you can compensate for that, and it has that kind of advantages. For these reasons, US implant is used frequently for screw-type prosthesis, and it has many pros. US implant, the bigger the diameter, the bigger the platform, hex, and screw. In the case of TS implant, it is divided as mini and regular. In the case of US implant, it can be divided into mini, regular, and wide. There are 3 types. For mini, 3.5 diameter, 1.6 millimeter thickness screw is used, and for regular 4.1 diameter and 2.0 millimeter screw is used, and for wide 5.1 millimeter diameter and 2.5 millimeter screw is used. Therefore, as shown, the superstructure and screw needs to be chosen by size. In the case of wide, you can connect a regular abutment and do platform switching. Those kind of fixtures are available. In this case, you need to do pre-op diagnosis, and if you're planning to use US fixture and do platform switching, you need to choose wide fixture and do surgery. US fixture's body type, like TS, it can be divided into straight 1.5 degree taper, 6 degree taper. There are 3 types. Next, let's look at MS implant. First, it can be used for narrow ridges like lower anterior, and as shown, fixture and abutment is one piece, one body type. Therefore, there's no necessity for a screw that connects abutment and fixture like lower anterior. In the case there's narrow ridge and narrow interdental space, it is very useful. Depending on abutment shape, you can create crown accordingly, and you can use it for supporting denture and for temporary teeth. In the case of MS narrow ridge, the surface is RBM and SA, and gingival height is 2.5 millimeter and 4 millimeter. There are 2 options, and the length of abutment is 7 millimeter, and it has 5 degree taper. If this is too long, you can prep it and use it. MS denture implant. For denture, you can connect O-ring. It has superstructure like this, 2.0 and 4.0 millimeter gingival height. There are 2 options, so you can use it accordingly with the gingival thickness. The MS implant for temporary teeth, it can be used for a very short period, so there's no surface treatment here, and it only has one option. Let's summarize what was discussed about MS implant. I'm sure it'll be easier to understand if you look at the screen. There are 3 main types of MS implant. Please remember. Let's look at MS implant being used in actual clinical cases. 4 anteriors were missing in this patient. It was a narrow ridge, so 3.5 millimeter mini fixture could not be placed, and MS implant was used to restore this case. Abutment and fixture is one piece, so this is one body implant, and placement path is very important. You need to think of prosthesis ahead when you're placing the implant. You can also use MS implant to support denture. Let's look at that case. Originally, implant over denture was planned, and 2 implants were to be placed, and then denture was to be provided. To support the temporary denture, MS implants were placed, and it was well maintained up until the final denture was completed, so it was also used to support that final prosthesis. And even in the case where it's used to maintain denture, you need to be aware of the placement path. TS implant needs to be placed deeper than bone, US implant following the bone height, and SS implant should be placed following the gingival height, and MS implant should also be placed following the gingival height. Next, I'm going to talk about abutment and abutment screw that is connected to the superstructure. Abutment can be divided into 3 types. First, There's one piece abutment where abutment and screw is one piece, and there's rigid type where crown can be fabricated on top, and convertible and multi-type where different superstructure prosthesis can be connected. And there's O-ring and locator abutment for denture support. Next, I'm going to talk about two-piece abutment. The abutment and screw are separate, so it's called two-piece abutment. Depending on the shape and fabricating material, there are multiple types. In the case of three-piece abutment, you connect one-piece abutment with two-piece abutments. One-piece abutment is used to change the way fixture is connected with superstructure. Compared with other types, it may be more difficult to understand, so I'm going to show you a case. In this patient, a long time ago, ITI hollow type implant was placed in number 27. The intent was to create a posterior prosthesis connecting it to mesial implant. However, this was not possible. Not only was I not able to find the abutment, I tried to use the impression coping from the same company, but it was too old and it did not fit well as shown in the image. And after a long consideration, I applied a three-piece abutment. First, the convertible abutment was connected, and I changed to external fixture structure, and I took impression using impression coping, and I used the analog which fit this structure and cast this abutment. In this image, convertible abutment was connected and impression coping was connected to check the adaptability on X-ray. On image, it looks very well adapted. Abutment was fabricated in this way, and I checked once again whether the abutment was well adapted using the X-ray image. After I checked, I connected with the mesial implant and created the final prosthesis. Three-piece abutment, you can change the connecting structure of implant and create prosthesis. Abutment to screw, it connects abutment and fixture. As shown on the image, two components are connected. Because of this, it requires a very intricate combined force that can resist fracture and loosening. I'm going to talk about cover screw and healing abutment. Cover screw is used for two-stage implant surgeries, and the implant is placed up until osseointegration. It protects the internal structure of fixture. When you do two-stage surgery, you place the fixture and connect cover screw and cover the internal structure of fixture, and while osseointegration occurs, it protects the internal structure. At second surgery, if you remove cover screw, other superstructures can be safely connected with fixture. There are three types of length for cover screw, and depending on fixture placement depths, you can use it accordingly. Details on this can be found in one-stage, two-stage surgery lecture or offline master course. Cover screw differ depending on fixture diameter, and in the case of TS implant, it is divided as mini and regular, and they're made so that people can differentiate them at a glance. They're in different colors. Mini is in purple and regular is in green, so visually it is very easy to differentiate. Next, I'm going to talk about healing abutment. Healing abutment. The purpose is, before final abutment connection, it keeps gingival whole and also supports a complete healing of soft tissue. As shown in the image, once healing abutment is connected, the gingiva has healed very nicely. Healing abutment is used to create a appropriate transgingival hole so that implant fixture can be connected with the prosthesis. As shown in the image, once healing abutment is connected and the gingiva is healed, transgingival hole to connect the abutment is created and you can connect final abutment here. The diameter and length of healing abutment can be decided following the height of gingiva and prosthesis. And you can choose different height and diameter of healing abutment depending on surgical site and implant placement depths. Next, I'm going to talk about components necessary to create prosthesis. First, impression coping. These days, scanning is used to create prosthesis, so this is not necessary. However, sometimes people still use this to create implant prosthesis. Implant impression taking is possible at fixture or abutment level. Once implant impression is taken, model is created for prosthesis fabrication. Lab analog plays the role of the implant on the model, and on the analog, you connect the lab components and create implant abutment or crown. Next is burnout cylinder. This is similar to wax up for crown fabrication. It is connected with lab analog for wax up, and this is used at lab, so this may sound a bit foreign to you. Finally, I would like to talk about surgical drill. Surgical drill is a machine to drill a hole on the bone for implant placement. Various drill is used to create holes safely, and regarding the usage of drills, this will be addressed in detail during lecture on surgical kit. In placing implant fixture, where are you going to place it? And how is the state of bone and gingiva there? And also, you need to consider the shape of the prosthesis that is to be fabricated. Abutment allows you to connect the prosthesis on the fixture and is determined by prosthesis fabrication type. Next, let's look at abutment screw, which connects the fixture and abutment strongly. During healing period for osseointegration, cover screw protects the internal structure of fixture, and depending on placement depths, there are different specifications related to cover screw. Please remember this. Healing abutment, which creates transmucosal hole, you need to choose accordingly with the gingival thickness and the size of the prosthesis to be fabricated. Impression coping, which is essential in prosthesis fabrication, can be divided into regular, mini, long, and short. You need to use it well and differentiate them. If you choose wrongly, at times you may not be able to take impression. Please differentiate them and choose wisely. When I first did implant treatment, there were so many components and I found myself baffled. Details on components, especially those around prosthesis, those were very new to me and felt very difficult. I hope through master course you not make the same mistakes that I did. Please remember the components, what they're called, and their specifications when you're doing implant treatment. Thank you for watching.